Hello, everybody. This is the Dragon Age Inquisition review discussion. My name is Vince Ingenito. I'm the guy who reviewed the game, and I'm here with my two buddies, Justin Davis.
Yo.
Naomi Kyle.
What's up?
And on this segment, we're going to be talking about the story and characters, which are obviously a very big part of all BioWare games. That's kind of like their stock and trade,
Their
right?
MO.
Sure, absolutely. So I mean, I had some overall feelings about the story that honestly didn't necessarily represent the majority in terms of the reviews out there. I was actually pretty unimpressed with the overall plot. Maybe not the story as a whole, the characters and the world I like, but just the A to B of how we got through all the events was kind of tenuous for me. But you guys are a little bit earlier in the game than I was when I finished it.
Like
so.
that's the thing. Like you are how many over 100 hours?
I'm over 100 hours in. Yeah.
And so I can't really say like maybe I'm gonna be the same as you when I get to the end of this journey. You feel the same way. But so far, I would say I'm much more impressed with the story than what I've heard from you. I like sort of the big picture plot. I don't want to spoil anything for anybody.
Sure, right.
The big question is your character has this mark and can do special things that no one else in the world can do, which is a thing RPGs have done a million times.
Right.
But what I love about it is that you don't know whether that's given to you by a god or not. Like you don't know whether it's divine, and so that's
Everyone
like
thinks it is.
yeah,
Right.
that's like a
Like,
big
the
mystery,
maker.
and that's interesting. And so it takes this RPG trope and like puts it in a new, unique direction of like you doubt yourself. Like I don't know why I have this power, but these
Yeah.
people are counting on me.
Yeah.
And so I sort of feel like it makes you feel sort of isolated as a leader of this group, and
Sure.
I love that dynamic.
And it's interesting too because when you think about it, usually the leader of these groups is always like I'm the ultimate badass, and I know I am. I'm just so powerful, and I've trained so hard.
film
And
a
I'm
lot
so
of
great.
self-
Dragon Age 2 felt a lot like that.
Yes, I was going to ask, how do you feel? Like you really like the story in Dragon Age 2, right?
I did. I mean, I like the fact that in Dragon Age 2 you had your sister who was a mage, and you're fighting between the mages and the Templars, and so you're like, whose side are you on? And you're trying to decide the whole way through. In this game, I do like your take though on how it's like you don't know how you got this power, and you're trying to figure it out along the way, and you're like this appointed leader, but it's not by choice. Like you're trying to figure out, just, am I ready for this? How can I do this? So I like that dynamic. That said, I don't know, I don't have a personal connection because I don't have power personally myself, but I have sisters and brothers that I can relate to, and I felt like taking a more personal, close story to make that meaningful to the player was just a stronger choice, I think, in Dragon Age 2 versus this game.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask, like, Dragon Age 2, I feel like was a saucier kind of game with with characters who just immediately came off more agreeable and more relatable. Like, did you feel that, like, in Inquisition, everyone feels kind of dry?
I did at first, but I mean, then you run into Varric and Cassandra, and very familiar characters. I kind of hope that the further I go into the game, there's more characters from the past games that come in. Which might bring back that sense of nostalgia.
No comment.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, keep it a secret. But for now, I'm just, I think I'm liking it. I want to, I'm glad I have Varric on my team. I want to see where this story goes, if there's other characters that will interest me.
One of the things that I think the Dragon Age Inquisition story is going to be overshadowed, or the little moments are going to be overshadowed by the big moments. I did a moment last night where I had to go drain a dam to get access to this underground cave.
Right.
And you enter this building, and then there's these two kids in there, and they're like, oh, and they were like laying in front of the fire.
Yeah.
And they're like, we didn't know you were gonna be here. And it's like this little tiny story beat.
Yeah.
And like they'd snuck in there to have some hanky panky. and it's super fast. Like it's over, and then I had Dorian with me, and he just laughed, you know, and then it's over. But the game is full of little moments like that. Like I feel like the letters that you find in most games are really boring.
Sure.
But they're like interesting. Like it's really interesting, like the little dramas. Like you'll enter someone's house and find a letter, have like a one-sentence conversation with somebody. And that's like the BioWare difference, where like lots of RPGs have those moments, but how they're executed on, it depends whether they're interesting or not. And I definitely think that those little moments are fantastic.
So they nailed the little moments, it seems.
I think so.
I totally agree with you actually on that front. Usually those interactions are the things that I forget about, the things that I skip through. Like when I'm playing some big, like a JRPG, for instance, like a big JRPG, almost always the conversations I have with townspeople or people who aren't vital to the main quest are completely throwaway conversations. But like you said here, there's a lot of times where I couldn't tell what was supposed to be a main story and what was supposed to be just a side character because all of them are so interesting and so well fleshed out. I guess for me, one of the things I have a problem with is and I don't want to talk about who the main villain is in this game. It's a little bit of a surprise.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I don't want to spoilers there. But my main issue with the story, and maybe you guys will feel this when you've played longer, is that once the person is revealed, once the main villain is out there, they disappear.
Sure.
They're just gone. Like, they're just gone until the end of the game. And every event that you see after that, it's like, hey, something bad's happening over here. And you go and you fight through a big story moment there. And then it's like, oh, drat, it was this person all along. And you're like, I need to see the bad guy doing bad
Meanwhile,
guy
you need
stuff.
him there to, yeah.
I do. I really
to keep
think
convincing you he's the bad guy.
Exactly. I want the main villain to impose their will upon the story, so that I really feel a sense of danger and a sense of stakes. I think that Dragon Age Inquisition does all the little things well and draws some interesting characters, even though they're not as immediately likable. But yeah, for me, the how and the why of how we get from all the different plot points was a little tenuous for me.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I do, again, like, you've gone through the whole game, so, I defer to you on, that.
Damn right you do.
On that particular point. But what I like about, the flip side of it, or the counter argument, is that, I go into a new region of the map, and it's going to have its own, sort of, it's almost like episodic. Like, you enter, what's it called? The fallow mire.
Right.
And it's zombies, right? It's undead, and then, you're sort of going through this, you're trying not to step in the water because that makes them rise up, and you have to fight them, and it's always night there. And that's its own little self-contained thing, and it's interesting and well-written and compelling.
And all the zones have that.
It is more video gamey in the sense that then the big bad maybe does or doesn't pop up at the end and be like, ho, 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 I was pulling the strings. But like what you're actually experiencing, I find to be, really sort of rich and detailed. And sure, maybe they should have done more to connect it, sort of have some through lines through it. But I like the story that each separate zone is telling. Like, I'm going to go step foot into a new zone, and it's like a whole new set of drama.
Yeah, totally agree. So obviously we can keep talking about Dragon Age's story forever. It's very dense, very lore rich. But we do have to stop at some point. Thank you so much, folks at home, for watching this segment of our review discussion. Remember, for more on Dragon Age Inquisition, including our other segments from this review discussion, keep it locked right here to IGN.